ISH is interdisciplinary, so it draws on lots of different disciplines: history, psychology, business, cultural studies, economics, and it interrogates sport from lots of different perspectives. People who study the MA Leadership of Sport, who come to the Institute of Sports Humanities, will hear from world-leading practitioners, people who've actually done exceptional things, both inside sport and outside sport in analogous spheres. And they'll also look at sport in an original and challenging way. And the foundational idea all the way through is that superior thinking is an underrated edge inside sport. There's been a huge investment in sports science, but not much investment in helping people to think better and make better decisions. I think a lot of the work that's been done about sport has sat inside the area of sports science, and of course sports benefited hugely from sports science. But in terms of gaining an edge in the future, science is an interesting question, because the human body, a bit like greyhounds and racehorses in the 1950s, it's getting harder to optimize. Greyhounds and racehorses haven't got much faster, and human beings are getting much slower at getting faster. The improvements are incremental in terms of optimizing the human body. But when we think about strategy, decision-making, leadership, judgment, those kinds of areas, how close are we to optimized in those areas of sport? We're miles away. But the investment in thinking about sport in those terms has been much less. So there's an opportunity to gain an edge in sport by exploring ideas through a different lens. And that's where the Institute of Sports Humanities comes in. So the MA Leadership in Sport is aimed at the next generation of leaders in the sports industry. That could be players, people who want to go on and become captains, or indeed who have aspirations for after their playing career. That could be people who are coaches, people who are administrators, people who work for rights holders, or people who are in the sports industry more generally. It's also aimed at people who have real skills and insights in other industries that want to come into sport. So it's an opportunity to transition into the sports industry. So the student experience is based around 18 flagship events, mostly in central London, some of them off-site, like at Sandhurst home with the British Army training. And those 18 evening events will be very special seminars and lectures where students hear from the very best practitioners in the world, whether that's Mike Brearley or Howard Marks, the investor, or the chief economist at the Bank of England, Andy Haldane. People inside sport and outside sport who have unique insights about leadership and decision making. We'll also be having module work led by world-leading academics, which will be assessed in a range of different forms, culminating in a longer piece of work, a dissertation. So it'll be a mixture of hearing from brilliant people, but then also interrogating those ideas in smaller groups, and of course individually in the assessed work. Thinking better about sport ultimately is an underestimated edge inside the sports industry. And while we invest in so many different areas of performance, both on the playing side and off the field in the sports industry, ISH is really there to support different and original thinking, to interrogate the question in a more interesting way and to yield new and challenging forms of thought. So that's where the interdisciplinary nature of ISH is so important, is to actually look at problems from a range of different perspectives and to really challenge students to think better about sport.